I'm Maggie from the blog backtothelandliving.com, and this morning I'm out here in my garden and I'm going to be planting my colder weather crops. And so I thought I'd bring you along and explain to you how we have our garden set up and how come I'm planting some of my crops now and it's before our last frost date. So a mistake that a lot of beginning gardeners make, and it's a mistake that I have been making for the past few years and something I'm going to be correcting this year, is that I just plant everything all at once. I plant all of our transplants, our seeds, one day, plant everything and done and let it grow, which has worked fine, but really we should be planting different times. So things that prefer a colder weather to germinate, they should be planted first before your last frost date, and things that need warmer temperatures and can't handle a frost should be planted a few weeks after your last frost date. So it's been getting still pretty cold the last few nights. We had a frost the last 2 nights, but it's going to be warming up here soon. So I think it's about time to plant my colder weather crops. So those are things like onions and potatoes and carrots and like spinach and lettuce, things like that can handle a bit of a colder weather at nighttime. And some things like carrots, they require that colder temperature to really germinate and do well. And so I'm going to be planting those today. And I thought I'd show you how we have our garden set up and what varieties we're planting and how we're planting them. So this year we're doing a few different gardens in different locations. This is our traditional garden location, and we're going to be having a more experimental garden with some deeper mulch and things like that. For this year, for this garden, it's been tilled and we added a lot of compost to it. So there's horse and goat compost manure that we have because we have goats and horses, and so that was added to this garden, and also some chicken manure we added. It was all tilled up and we've just hilled it, and we're going to be planting it in double rows, so there'll be 2 rows in each of these hills. So I'm going to get started and start planting my seeds. So far in this garden we have a few rows already planted, and that's because I was planning on doing this a few days ago, but it was so windy I couldn't film, and I already had these seeds soaking. So in this row we have peas. They are sugar and bush peas. So we soaked these in just some water for about 8 hours before we planted them to help increase germination success. So this row is full of peas, and then this row, half of this row is beets, and they are Detroit dark red beets. And we did half a row of these, and we soaked them for the same 8 hours to increase germination. And then behind me here we have garlic, and that was planted in the fall and it's coming up really well. And actually I don't really know what varieties it is. Someone just gave me some extra garlic they had and I planted it, so we'll see when it grows what kind it is. But in this half of this row we're going to be planting some lettuce and spinach, and I have 2 different types of lettuce and 1 type of spinach. So we're going to be planting some Grand Rapids lettuce and some salad bowl lettuce, and then some Bloomingdale spinach. So I'm going to be planting this first and then heading on to the next rows. So for this next row I'm going to be planting carrots. I have 2 types of carrots. I have some rainbow carrots and some Napoli carrots, and I'm just trying the rainbow carrots for the first time. I thought it would be kind of fun. And I'm just going to be soaking this bed really well with water first, since they're so small they can easily be washed away. So I'm going to soak the bed really well so I don't have to water it right after, and I'm just going to press the carrots down into the soil. So in this row I'm going to be planting my onions, and I'm going to be using onion sets. So we're going to plant half a row of yellow onions and half a row of Spanish onions. And so onion sets are like little bulbs, and you buy them in a bag and you just put the hole in, stick them in, and cover them up. And so we've always done onion sets and they worked really well for us, but this year we wanted to try starting our own onions from seed, which we have going and we're going to be planting in the other garden. But just in case they didn't work out since it was our first year, we wanted to have a backup of onions, so we're going to do our sets like we usually do. And so I'm going to plant them and then move on to my last row. In our last row are our potatoes, and we're going to be planting Yukon gold potatoes, and we bought our seed potatoes from just our local farm store, and we've always cut them in half and planted them, or just cut them into sections as long as the sections have a couple eyes on them. So this one only has a couple eyes, so I might plant this one whole, but potatoes like this one that are quite large, I'm going to cut them up so that each section has a few eyes, and then I'll plant them. So this is the last row we are planting in this garden. I hope this video has helped show you that it's good to plant your colder variety vegetables before your last frost date, and then save your warmer weather ones for after your last frost date, and that you don't have to plant all your vegetables at one time. It's good to separate them, it's good for their germination, and it spreads out your gardening throughout the season. So thank you so much for being here. If you're interested in seeing how this garden grows and how we grow our other gardens this year, we'd love to have you follow us along, and have a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.